Okay, I'm going to go over 65 deep philosophical questions in as little time as possible, and I will try to answer them quickly, but mind that it's probably going to take a while, and it's difficult for me to at the same time, because I'm going to try to do this without breaking and cutting and editing. Just one swoosh, one take, and let's get it done. Okay, number 1, is it worse to fail at something or never attempt it in the first place? It is never worse to fail at something. It is actually, failure is one of the best things that you can do in every situation. With attempting everything, I don't believe it's better to fail your first attempt than to not fail your first attempt, because you will have a better experience and you'll benefit more from a failure than you would at a non-failure. Okay, number 2. If you could choose just one thing to change the world, what would it be? I don't think I would change anything, because I don't believe in regrets, and I think all the failures that have come and gone in the world, we have been able to learn from, and we can learn from. We have the ability to learn from. So there we go. Number 3. To what extent do you shape your own destiny, and how much is down to fate? Okay, destiny and fate, pretty much the same thing. If we're only thinking about now and not past and future, then yes, we have the sensation of being able to mold our own lives and our own experiences. But if we think a little bit more philosophically, and we think, if we travel into the future and to the end of time, which I think is impossible anyways, if we do that, then somehow we get the knowledge of everything that has been decided, everything that has happened up until the end of time, and then we come back to our own time, then we will already have the knowledge of what was already decided and what already happened. And would we have the ability to change it then? I do not believe so. But, it depends on how you want to answer this question. Okay, next question. Number 4. Does nature shape our personalities more than nurture? Okay, both of these shape our personalities on pretty much the same level, but the question here is which one does more. It depends on how you are raised, how you grow up. If you have a more nurturing childhood, then great, that will help shape your personality more than nature. But if you grew up in nature more, and you don't have such a nurturing childhood, the situation, the nature around you will change your personality more and shape your personality more than nurture would. Okay, number 5. Should people care more about doing the right thing or doing things right? Okay, you should always do the right thing. But again, this is the problem with this, okay? Doing things right. Everyone has their own way of doing things right, their own ideas on how to do things a certain way. But at the same time, the right thing is this is an objective or subjective question, right? Okay, so doing the right thing, that's all in your head. Do you believe your decision enough that you know it's the right thing to do? Is it really the right thing, or is it just from your point of view, that's how you see it as the right way to do it? But everyone else around you might have a different way of seeing it and a different opinion on what the right thing is. So there are no winners and there are no losers, and what you should do is just have a balanced idea of what should be done, not thinking about what is right and what is wrong. Just try to balance out what you think should happen after weighing in the situational factors around you. Okay, number 6. What one piece of advice would you offer to a newborn infant? What piece of advice would I offer to a newborn infant? That is a ridiculous question. I wouldn't use the standard, how do you say, the standard idea of language. I wouldn't use normal language. I would just show them a triangle, and just keep showing them a triangle until they can recognize it, and that will help them out understanding the world much quicker if they can understand that faster than normal. Let's just leave it at there. I can talk about why a triangle is important in a future episode or something. Okay, number 7. What is the line between insanity and creativity? Okay, insanity and creativity come from the imagination. Imagination is a powerful thing, and imagination does not paint lines between insanity and creativity. There is actually no lines. There is no limitation between the two. That is all. Those are defined by our culture and our moral laws or moral ideas. That is what defines the difference between insanity and creativity. But there's really no line. There's nothing that separates the two. What is true happiness? True happiness is whatever makes you happy. Done. Finished. Great. Number 9. What things hold you back from doing the things that you really want to? Okay, what things hold you back from doing the things that you really want to? The things that hold you back from the things that you really want to are the barriers that you put yourself, or the barriers that culture, society puts upon you. Everything is just what do you actually really want to do? Is it something you really want to do, or is it something that you just think you want to do, but you're not sure? Is it society telling you want to do something, and then all of a sudden you think you want to do it? There are many factors into this, and really the only thing holding you back from doing something you really want to do is societal pressures and pressures from the outside, and also pressures that you make yourself. That if it's something bad that you want to do, you think it's bad. It's a personal, moral idea that you think it's bad and that you should not do it. That's also something. It's a whole, objective, subjective nature. Okay, you can think about that yourself. Number 10. What makes you you? Okay, what makes you you is your experiences. All your experiences that you had from when you were a newborn baby, or even actually not just newborn, when you were being created inside your mother's body. All experiences from that time all the way up until now is what makes you you. Okay, what is the truth? The truth is actually, the definition of truth can be many things. It's very difficult. This is another objective, subjective question here, because what you think is the truth may not be the truth. What other people think is the truth, what might not be the truth. In reality, no one can know the real truth. What people understand as the truth is just a balanced understanding of of many opinions about what the truth is, but the ultimate truth is not something we can ultimately know. So we just have to find a balance of what should be true in regards to what everyone says. That's our best ability to understand truth. Okay, number 12, what is reality? Okay, reality is something we live in, but at the same time, we have subjective reality, we have objective reality. Okay, everyone lives in their own created reality. Every idea, all the truth that you think about, everything is what is real to you may not be real to somebody else. Okay, so if someone says something to you, and it depends on how you understand that, what they said is how your reality is created. Okay, so when you're a small child, if your parents tell you that Santa Claus is real, that is real to you. So in reality, Santa Claus is real up until you find out it was false. This goes into the whole story about the boy who cried wolf. Okay, in reality, in the wolf, in story about the child who cried wolf, okay, everyone knows in the story that wolves are real, but the boy keeps saying that there's a wolf, but when they said it to his father or whoever it was, it depends on who's telling the story, the boy is telling that there's a wolf, in the man's head, in his reality, is saying that there's a wolf, so he goes out and looks for it, and then he finds no wolf, and he finds out that it's a lie. It all depends. It really, reality changes between people, and with that idea, then there is such thing as multiple realities. Next, that was too long. Number 13, do you make your own decisions or let others make them for you? This is okay. Do you make your own decisions or let others make them for you? Okay, like I said, what makes you you is just many experiences, all your experiences from when you were a little fetus up until now. So, okay, those experiences are what make those decisions that you have. Now, most decisions come from the how do you say this, man? Okay, let others make them for you. You don't usually let others make them for you. You can ask, if you ask, what do you think? And then they say that to you, what they think you should do, and then blah blah blah. Okay, I think that just the mental structure, the structure that you have, the idea structures that you have in your head, all. This is I can't put everything together to be able to answer this question. But what I should say is that sometimes you do make your own decisions, and most of the time you don't. Most of them are built off of experiences from the past, and the ones that if you ask other people, then those are new experiences, and most decisions after that are built off of experience. Number 14, what makes a good friend? A good friend is somebody that you think is a good friend. Just hopefully at some point you don't understand that they're not good friends. Good friends are people who understand you enough to be able to communicate with you effectively to where you understand at least most of what they said. Okay, because what they say molds your reality. If at one point your reality, if you find out that reality your friend has built upon your original reality is fake, then you will notice that maybe they weren't a good friend or not. Hopefully you understand what I just said. Number 15, why do people fear losing things that they do not even have yet? Why do people fear losing things they do not even have yet? Because they have the ability to have it, or they have what is the word I want to know or want to use? They have the, let's just use the ability, okay? In their minds, they have it already, okay? Even though they don't have it now, they might have it in the future. So if those dreams, if those goals are destroyed, then of course they're gonna not have it. They're not gonna be happy. So that's where the fear comes from, is losing something before you get it, okay? Just like a baby. If you're gonna have a baby, if you're pregnant and then you find out you're pregnant and then all of a sudden you have a miscarriage or something, there's a fear there. Even though you don't have something yet, you have the fear of losing it, of course. Number 16, who defines good and evil? Good and evil is good and bad. Let's just leave it at that. Evil is a religious concept. I don't mind religion. I'm not going to call myself atheist. I'm not going to say I'm not atheist, but at the same time, let's say good and evil. What is good and bad? Who defines it? Everyone defines it in themselves. The society defines it based on based on an average or a balance of what everyone else thinks. And culture defines it. Society defines it. You decide it. It's a very complex and complicated definition, but in reality, they're the same thing. I should say that just like insanity and creativity, we define it, but in the truth is that there is no definition. Number 17, what is the difference between lying and being alive, or living, sorry. What is the difference between living and being alive? Okay, living is just living, okay? Living is just, like your heart beating, but you can't think. You don't understand what's going on, okay? I'm not going to talk about animals or anything, but if you had no brain, think about it like that. If your body was just brainless and laying on the ground, you would be living. To be alive, let's see, you would have to have, have the sensation of being, of living, and you would understand that you are alive, that you are living. The be verb there helps you out there, because being just means I can talk about it in other languages, but right now just being, I can't think of another way of saying it. Being helps out. Being is different from not being. Okay, 18 is a wrong act. Okay, if nobody ever knows about it, it depends on what the wrong act is. And if it's okay to you, here's the funny thing about this question. Okay, is a wrong act okay if nobody ever knows about it? The point there is wrong, because that is all. If you think what you did is wrong, then it's wrong. Then it's not okay. Okay. That's answer the question. If you think what you did was wrong, it might not be wrong to other people, but to you, if it was wrong to you, then it's not okay. That's the answer to the question. Number 19, who decides what morality is? It's the exact same thing is number 16. Morality is the definition between good and evil. What is good or bad? I just answered that question. Number 20, how do you know what your experience of consciousness is the same as other people's experience of consciousness? How do you know that your experience of consciousness is the same as other people's experience of consciousness? It's completely different. It all depends on the experiences they have from when they're fetuses up until now. And that's how they experience their consciousness. And mental problems or something, but it all goes in with experiences, okay? What is true strength? True strength is willpower. Number 22, what is true love? True love is very confusing, I should say. It could be false, it could be true. You say true love, but is it really true love? I don't think there is a such thing as true love. You just have to deal with love as you get it, and you will figure out if it's a plausible love or not. 23, is a family still relevant in the modern world? Yes, it is. Why is that a question? Okay. Number 24, I mean, the family is as relevant as it's ever been. It just depends on, again, experiences from when you're a fetus up until now, plus the societal pressures and pressure from culture. Structure makes a structure for that kind of, or if family is relevant or not in a certain time period. 24, what role does honor play in today's society? Honor, an honorable person or a virtuous person, it plays just as big of a role at any other time. It just depends on who's defining what is honorable or what is not. We have many virtues out there. If you go and look them up and dedicate yourself to a few virtues, then great, then there you are. You're an honorable person, you're a virtuous person, because you can keep yourself on track with a certain number of virtues, okay? Number 25, if money cannot buy happiness, can you ever be truly happy with no money? Yes, you can, because money is meaningless. There's no... Money is completely meaningless. Money allows you to buy stuff that you want, but you don't need money to get what you want. Money can help you buy what you think would make you happy, but in reality it might make you happy, it might not make you happy, but you can always get what makes you happy without money. Money is just a medium to do what you want, or to get what you want, but you don't always need a medium. You can directly get what you want, or directly get what makes you happy. Number 26, how do you know your perceptions are real? You can't. The only way you will understand if what you perceived was real or not is by getting. You can't understand for sure or not, but you can get a balanced idea of what you might have perceived by if there are any other observers, or if you just bring your little detective glasses out and you start looking around and try to understand what really went down, but you will only get a balanced idea of what happened. You will never understand if what you perceived was completely real or not. Number 27, how much control do you have over your life? That's the same question as the one about fate and destiny, so I've already talked about that. Number 28, what is freedom? Freedom is the same question as how much control do you have over your life. Let's talk about it now and not talk about past and future. Okay, what is freedom? Freedom is the freedom to do what you want, but in the reality, in our idea of reality, is the concept, the way reality is defined in the dictionary. If we think about it like that, it depends on what culture we come from, what societal pressures we're enduring, what our personal thoughts are, our ideas. If we think about it like that, there's no such thing as freedom. We are living in limitations, and we have to do things in certain ways, but we just have the sensation that it's free. Number 29, isn't one person's terrorist another person's freedom fighter? Why is it asking a question like that? Yes, this is another objective and subjective question. How many objective, subjective questions? Is this objective, or what is subjective, which is better, or something which is more important? They're both important. It's just a balanced idea. One person might think this person is evil. Person might think it's good. It's another question between what is the definition between good and bad. I've already answered that. Number 30, what happens after we die? What happens after we die is something that we can't completely... this is going to stump me. I don't know. I don't know what happens after we die. If I try to explain some idea I had, it could be wrong, could be false, whatever. Let's just say that you should die and figure it out yourself. Okay, number 31. What defines you? What makes you you is the same question. Number 32. What do people strive for after enlightenment? I guess enlightenment would be different for many people. Okay, for every person, their enlightenment would be different. If they think they have gone through enlightenment, then okay, great, you've gone through enlightenment. What do people strive for after enlightenment? More knowledge. Let's just put it that, because that's the question, the answer that you'll probably get from everyone. To understand everything that they can in as little time as possible. Okay, number 33. Do you have a soul? That is a religious concept, is soul. Soul, you can also say it is self. Okay, let's put it as self, because it's the same meaning. Soul and self are the same meaning. Do we have a self? Yes, of course we have a self. You have three categories in every person. We have the body, the mind, and the self. And that's 3, right? And religious idea, we have mind, body, and spirit, or mind, body, and soul. It's the same thing. So body, mind, self. Of course it's there. Unless if you don't have a self, then I feel bad for you. Number 34, what is intelligence? What is intelligence? Intelligence is... I guess how a rank of how smart someone might think you are, but there's so many intelligences. Every category that we have defined in our human existence, every category of knowledge can have a level of intelligence. And if you're very smart about Pokemon cards, then you are very intelligent in Pokemon cards. You have a high Pokemon card intelligence. If you're very smart, or if you have a high intelligence in caramel corn, or making caramel corn, but you can even break that into many more categories of the more salty caramel corn, or a little more sweet or too sweet caramel corn. You can have those intelligences. Okay, it's stupid. I don't even believe in intelligence. Okay, number 35. How should people live their lives? People should live their lives without thinking about how to live their lives as much. Number 36, if lying is wrong, are white lies okay? It all depends on, this is objective, subjective thing. Just decide it yourself, guys. Okay, 37, is trust more important than love? I'm going to say that trust is more important, but at the same time, love and trust go hand in hand. You should have both. And again, the last question, are white lies? Do white lies help you continue love? I don't know. It depends on you. Decide it yourself. Okay. Number 38. Is it easier to love or be loved? It's easier to be loved. Of course, it is so much easier to be loved. It is difficult to love because it depends on whether or not the other person loves you, and you always have to be thinking about what the other person that you love is thinking. Even if they love you, do they really love you, or do they just love you too much or something? I don't know. Number 39, is it better to love and lose or never to love? Depends on if you want to love. If you want to love, then it's always better to love and lose than to never to love. But if you don't mind, if you don't care about loving somebody, then maybe it's always better. It's good not to love, or just never to love. I don't know. Do aliens exist? Sure, yeah. Number 41. The structure of DNA appears to be intelligently designed. What are the implications? The structure of DNA appears to be intelligently designed. What are the implications? I don't think that DNA was intelligently designed. But if we think about it, I wanted to get into this at some other time, but if you have any questions after this, okay, evolution and life itself was created, we can say intelligently, but more, it wasn't a super intelligent being that started it off. No, it started off like Mr. Darwin said it did, through the situational, how do you say? By, environment decides, how do you say, mutations, I guess. We start with the smallest little life forms, and they mutated into bigger life forms until they had the ability to store information about the surroundings, okay, and with that information, the brain began to make whatever the ancient version of the brain began to form, and the brain then on began to evolve us according to experiences in its life, the information it intook, okay, it took in, okay, the information it took in helped the brain structure the evolution for the creatures from then on, okay, and then that just DNA is not something that just was structured automatically and all of a sudden, oh, we got DNA. No, it wasn't like that. It just from the smallest strain of DNA in the smallest life form, it just started growing and growing and growing and growing, and then after millions of years, we got the long strains of DNA and the complex structures that we have now. So if we think about it like that, I guess we can say it's intelligently designed, okay? What are the implications? We're pretty smart people. That's where I guess your definition of intelligence comes from. Okay, 42. If everything evolved from amoebas, how does the world still have amoebas? Because why would we not have amoebas? It's stupid. Life is being created all the time, even though if amoebas were created millions of years ago, why can't amoebas be created now? It makes no sense. Not all amoebas are going to become humans. What is this? Who's writing this article, man? Number 43. Is life all a dream? No. If you're awake, then you're perceiving something, and that's not a dream unless you think of it as a dream. If it's a dream to you, then great. Yeah, there you go. Life is all a dream. Number 44. When does consciousness begin? Consciousness begins when you consciously notice that you're when the first thing you know, when you notice something, that's when consciousness begins. Okay, when you're still a little fetus, I believe you have a conscious. Okay, or you might not have one, depending on who's talking. That date of when you appear conscious to people, or you have consciousness, it depends on the person. Depends on when they start noticing things. Okay, when their consciousness grows into maturity. I mean, come on. Not everything's structured in a timeline where everyone has to fit in a single window. Number 45, what are numbers? Numbers are just images, okay? Just like words and letters, everything's an image, okay? Number 46, can we have happinesses with sadness? Can we have happiness with sadness? Yes, because you have to take everything. Because your entire life cannot be happiness. It'd be stupid. It's not something that happens. You live life. If your life should be happy all the way up until you die, but that means that there's going to be sad parts. If there was no sadness, there could not be any happiness. Because if you lived life without sadness, you should be sad because you didn't go through all the categories of moods that you could have gone through. You are not a complete human being because you could not be sad once. Okay, number 47. How did the universe begin? The universe began, you can think of the universe as always being, or it went through some form of Big Bang. If somehow it did go through a Big Bang, it was not just from zero to Big Bang. That means that some recycling effort of a Big Bang and some crunch would happen, and it has been doing that indefinitely, and there is no start. If we think about the universe, space as being infinite, and that there's no ending to it, which is of course true. There's no end to the universe. You can't get to the end. You have to understand that. And that means that we have to also understand that there is no start. Time has no start and no end. It just is there. It's there, okay? So if there's some form of recycling matter washing machine that we're going through, then that's how I guess this universe began, okay? There could be many. 48, is there supreme power? The supreme power depends on who's thinking about what's the definition of supreme power. It depends on the person. Number 49, what is education? What is education? Education is just guiding students to understand something, or guiding students in a proper way that they begin to notice things more quickly about their surroundings and life itself. Okay, what I should say is that education should not be structured to only get a student a job. That is just some new bullshit that educational like universities and such are doing. There are many countries in the world that are putting students in through leveled tests all the way up until university just to get them jobs, and that is not how education be run. Number 50, what will happen at the end of the world? There's at the end of our world, or which world are we talking about? There's many definitions for world. Is the world our reality? Are we talking about reality? If you're thinking about reality, when is the end of reality? It depends, because again, there's many realities. Depends on if it's your reality, then the world will end when you die. If it's everyone else's reality, it ends when they die. If we're talking about the human concept of time, time itself, the time will never end, so that world will never end. The universe will never end, okay? But if we talk about the Earth will end in an unlimited, almost limitless amount of ways, and we just have to wait and find out what happens, okay? We might not be able to perceive it, and even if we did perceive it, how can we tell if it's true or not unless we get other people to understand, if we understand everyone else's opinions about it? or what their point of views about it were. Okay, number 51, is there a reason to life? Is there a reason to life? I don't know. Have you found it yet? Number 52, where does the soul live? The soul lives in. Why you don't have to? I've actually tried to figure out where myself is by doing multiple thought experiments and other experiments, and I will tell you that it's just somewhere in your mind. It could be just a figment of your imagination. Okay, number 53, is it more important to be liked or respected? It's you should have a balance of both liked and respected. Again, with objective and subjective, every question that has to do with objective and subjective, the answer is always going to be balance of either or, a balance of around the middle. Okay, number 54, does sound happen if nothing is present to hear it? Yes, it does. If it just happens. Okay, it's just sounds are not something that we need to perceive for it to be real. Number 55, what is infinity? Infinity is just some word we put to nothing. Okay, infinity is just endless. Just to define infinity with another word that means the same thing is endless. Infinity. Okay, the opposite of finity, opposite of finite. Okay. 56, where does the universe end? The universe does not end. 57, it depends. Oh, God. The universe, which universe are we talking about? Are we talking about the universe that we live in right now? If we're talking about if we have many other universes, and the ultimate universe is the thing that never ends. Space does not end. Space and time does not end. But the universe, I don't know. If we're talking about the universe as space and time, then yes, it does not end. If we're talking about the universe in regards to the place that we live in, that is not connected directly to space and time, then it might end wherever it ends. I don't know. 57. Does observation alter an event? Yes, it does. Our perception of something does alter an event. You can't say that it doesn't. Okay. Okay, an event, let's think. An event that only you see does not change, okay? If only you see an event, you see it as you perceive it, okay? That's what happens, okay? But if you have other observers, and especially if you have a camera observing or something, everything's going to see it at a different angle, so you see it at with different set of structural experience, and everyone has their own point of view, their own reality, and the balance of that, including the natural event that happened, is completely different depending on which angle you see it at. So it alters it, yes, of course. But in reality, the event does a certain thing, but we just perceive it as doing multiple things. And there's the answer, okay? 58, does the law of attraction exist? The law of attraction, what are we talking about? Are we talking about gravity here? If we're talking about gravity, then I guess I wouldn't call it a law, because it just depends on whatever. The law of attraction, yes. With it, just look it up. I don't know. 59. How does gravity work? Gravity works. We have a good idea of how gravity works with some ideas from Albert Einstein and Newton, the relativity, and if we think about it, have you ever had a cup of coffee and you put creamer in it, but not too much, but you like the powdered creamer, okay? this is something that's kind of neat here. You're going to have some little powder pieces that didn't quite melt into the water, and they're going to be stuck in between some water, the top, like the water layer, and the coffee, and there's going to be layers. Okay, there's going to be layers of stuff in your cup there, and you can probably do this with many other types of drinks or other liquids or something, but you will notice that some similarities between the gravity that we can imagine in our heads from what we've learned and what is in our cup. If this answers the question, I don't know. Try it out. See what you can come up with. Okay, what do you notice? Number 60. Where were people before they were born? Again, the whole thing, the religious concept of souls coming into your body as the self that I believe in comes from the structure of experiences that you have from fetus times up until now times, and that is the self. Okay, so yeah, that's where people come from, but that person is not alive before they're born. So they don't just come from somewhere, they're just created from experiences. Okay, what is beauty? Beauty is, I don't know, from the beholder. The observer observes beauty in different ways, what each person thinks is beauty. It's again objective subjective thing. 62. Where do thoughts come from? Thoughts come from I've got a whole notebook full of myself proving where thoughts come from. I'm just going to say that they come from your core. Okay, you can ask me questions about that later. Is mind or matter more real? What is mind or matter? Okay, your mind is matter, and your matter, and matter of fact, matter is mind. So your mind would not be there. Your mind would not be real without matter. So matter is more real. But if we think of it all philosophically, well, maybe this whole thing is a simulation. But then there would be matter that makes a simulation. So of course matter would be more real than the mind itself. What is time? Number 64. What is time? Time is there's many concepts of time. Real time, the time that before humans were created, that time is endless, and it is only until humans perceived time that we began to conceptualize the human concept of time, which we use watches and things to calculate, and we've connected it with space. So our concept of time deals with how gravity and matter work together with each other. Number 65. How can people believe in truths without evidence? Well, it's all subjective, objective things. I've already answered these questions, so okay. I'm going to get into the ending portion of this. This is my first video. If you want to ask me more questions about philosophical ideas or even scientific ideas, let me know. I will try to answer them as quickly as possible, with as much quality as possible. Okay. Thanks. You can subscribe, you can not subscribe, you can like, you can not like. I don't care. It's all your objective, subjective realities that will decide that. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great philosophical day.